All right, here we go. We're on.
Okay, so I actually have a little introduction on this because Sean might not even know this, but I learned to fly planes in, model planes in London. I was in London for 3 years, and there's a field called Wormwood Scrubs, which was just this horrible flying.
That was a prison.
And there was a prison on the field. And I was in complete fear that I was going to crash my plane over the prison yard and get in all kinds of trouble. But it rained all the time, and I just knew I wanted to fly gliders. It's like I built one with my son, and then he lost interest in 2 minutes. So I was flying a motorized foamy, trying to get it to glide, and with the humidity in London and the moisture and stuff, nothing would ever catch a thermal. So it was a pretty horrible experience. And when I knew I was coming back to home, I sent out an email, and I think I contacted either Sean or somebody who obviously knew the hill, because they said, "Oh yeah, we'll take you up to Mission Peak and show you the hill." And so with the internet, I looked up the map of Mission Peak, and I looked at the hill, and I thought, "Gosh, SBSS Hill. That's just really amazing." So that was my vision as I was, cold and fighting traffic to fly this Wormwood Scrubs place. I was thinking, wow, I'll get to that hill someday. So we're gonna have Sean talk about Mission Peak and sort of one of the great assets of our club. And I think we all should get up there more often than we do, and this is the season to do it. So Sean, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so this is basically catered towards people who've never been there, Steve, who wants to go there, and or they've been there maybe once in the last 10, 12 years, and they want to learn about Mission, and I basically cover everything you need from how to get there, what you'll need to take with you, weather, flying, all the logistics required to go to Mission, and use this asset, as Kyle said. So hopefully this will give you all the tools you will need in order to go up there without requiring anybody telling you, yeah, it's a good time to go, what to take and all that. You can go there by yourself and try it out. So basically it's a really light infotainment type of presentation. If you have any questions, just jump in there. If you have any comments that I didn't cover something on a slide, please jump in there and talk. So first picture is this picture is just like 4 weeks old. I took it as I was walking up the hill. So that's Mission Peak, way on top there, and this is basically what it looks like right now. So what is Mission? Well, let's see if these things are working or not. So that's the common name we use to fly at this site. There are other names such as, so Mission Peak, Mission is located in Mission Peak Regional Parks or Regional Preserve. And that's in Fremont, California. And other names include RC Hill or Glider Hill. We rarely call it that, we just call it Mission. And
But I think the map still says SBSS Hill, doesn't it? Or?
well,
I think it
yeah,
says
nobody calls it-
SBSS launch
Yeah,
site.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. So that's basically what the hill looks like for those of you who haven't been there, and I'll get into more details about how to get out there. So the East Bay Regional Parks operates Mission Peak, and the officers here know that we have a special use agreement or a contract with the East Bay Regional Parks for the use of this site to fly RC. So what happens is every year, every 5 years now, I believe, we have a contract with the East EBRP, and they renew our contract based on our performance and how we did and how we took care of the place. And the site is available unlimited. It's unlimited use. So as long as the park is open, you guys can use it. And we have exclusive rights as a club to use it. So as opposed to other sites we've had, there's no, soccer league this weekend you can fly. There's cross country running, you can fly as any day of the year that you want. this is an official shot of the park map, and that SBSS line chart is actually printed under official site. So, and I'll get to how to get to that particular site. So we are actually an official site. So I talked about the club and what we do, and that's this logo of the city of Fremont. And what is that? Mission on their logo, as you can see. So mission is looms pretty much over the city of Fremont.
You're a planner.
No, it's right there. So
You're gonna talk about how to find that
yeah,
fork in the road, right?
yeah, we are going to go there.
This is the
I'm
front.
just going to go. Okay, so where's the hill? I'm not getting any connection to my. So anyway, down at the bottom, you see that's where the main gate is. And actually, did I miss the directions? I think I did. You know what? Let me go operate from down there. Sorry, guys. Operate from my computer. Okay. So, as we said, Mission is located in Fremont. It's on the if you go on 680 or 880 on the east side of 680 and 880, that's where Mission is. So if you take the Mission Boulevard exit from either of those two highways and turn right on Stanford and go all the way to the end of Stanford, that's where it is. It's really easy to get to.
And doesn't 237 runs dead end into that road or something? It's pretty easy to get.
237? No.
No, okay. Somehow it's an easy road to hit.
Anyways, parking. So,
Well, that's, Mission Boulevard.
yeah.
Really in Stanford line.
Wait, can you come back to parking?
I will, hold on. My, so, okay. So that green circle is the main parking lot. And that's the end of Stanford Avenue. You can park there, or you can park on Stanford Avenue, where all the green and the green outlines are, the red outlines are. During the holidays and weekends, you cannot park where the red outlines are shown. So you can still park, but those are restricted. So look for that sign. That they put sign everywhere along there, so you know where to park. So the west side of Vineyard is not permitted parking during the weekends and holidays.
So, if you don't mind, I'll mention my trick, and I think it's worked 95% of the time. I drive up right to the edge of the green circle and just pull to the side, and I kind of get ready. Like I open my trunk and start putting things together, and I just watch for space to open up. And almost every time somebody's pulling out within five minutes. And so I'm not being too obnoxious, but I always pull out.
Yeah, one of the things you guys can do is carpool together, like two of you go in there, and if there's no parking, what you can do is you can unload all of your airplanes, backpack, all your equipment up there, and have the driver go and park their car, and then when they walk back, they don't have to carry anything with them. They just walk up, and all of their equipment is already there. So just stay there with the airplanes and the backpacks and all that.
And the other thing is the walk's so long, that even the walk from the long parking is not that bad.
I mean, yes, we realize that probably the main obstacle to using Mission is the parking and the hike. But we'll talk about the hike next.
When does the parking lot tend to fill up?
It's always full.
It's always-
It's always full? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
On weekdays, it's not bad. On weekdays, by the way, you can park, in all those areas.
Right.
Yeah,
You're not just-
I went today and there was no problem getting up to space.
Yeah.
We got there at about 2. So,
Okay, you got that too, okay. So now you got there, so where's the hill? So the main gate, if you look at this picture I took from Google Map, the circular parking lot is at the bottom of the screen, so that's the main gate. So you go through the main gate, you follow the main trail, and the first right fork, you follow the right fork and you go slightly downhill over a creek and slightly uphill, and you reach a second gate. Sometimes the second gate is closed depending on the cattle situation, and sometimes it's not. And then basically from there on your hike starts.
If the gate is closed, can you?
You open it, yeah, it's not locked.
Okay.
So this is what it looks like. What the picture you see there is right. My pointer isn't working right now, but that's just before the second gate. So and the hill is right there. And Noel is actually on top of the hill right now. You can see a little figure.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like. That's the. So it's really not that far, but obviously you have to go around the hill. So
So you go around that hill and then
Yes.
up to where the rocks
Yeah.
are and then the right up to where. okay.
Yeah.
Where the four-wheeler tracks,
Yep.
that's where
Yeah.
the real walk.
So as soon as you walk through this gate, the first hill on your right is the hill. It's not the hill behind that tree though, because that's much lower. You will see. That's follow the main trail. And so what happens is they have these four-wheeler tracks that go off the main trail, and that's the ranchers. They use that to take feed up to the cows up there. That's what they you will follow that, and so it's yeah. The hike is a it's sort of every month you go there, you think they're probably lazy. I don't know, they're trying to.
How does the hike compare to Coyote Hill?
It's about the same length of hiking. The only advantage that Coyote has, the parking lot is at the base of the hill. Here, you still gotta walk a while, from the main gate all the way to the second gate. That's. So I did a quick tracking with Google Earth, and it was about 0.6 miles, the hike itself. So, all right.
You
So
wouldn't have a problem.
Coyote Hills is a little less of a hike than Mission Peak.
yeah, yeah, because like I said, you basically park right next to the hill and you start climbing. You don't have to go through the flattened part. Yeah. By the way, I understand the parking lot for Coyote Hill is underwater right now. Yeah. All right. So the directions are also on our website. Okay. So just be warned that the hike is tough, especially if it's your first time. Do be careful. Don't try to keep up with anybody. Take plenty of breaks. There's a lot of beautiful views out there. Just when you get there, you get there. Don't hurry up. Don't push yourself. There's Eric hiking up with the Saracen up the hill. It's on the right side. So. That's Philippe carrying his 4-meter scale airplane, so. And there's a bunch of guys coming up the hill. So it's doable, guys. It's just that take your time. Especially if it's a hot day, just take your time. Don't try to rush up there. I always tell people, relax, you'll get there. They won't do it.
Bring water.
Yes, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so you want to go slow flying up there, what do you take with you? And you got to be careful about this because your distance from the car is very far and you want to pack everything.
Don't forget a transmitter.
Yeah. So for clothing, all year round, we recommend you get your hiking boots, long pants, and long sleeve shirt. You guys can do whatever you want. This is just recommendations. Summertime, we have straw hats, broad-brim hats because you can get up there. Or something with a neck cover. That definitely helps. Winter time, definitely head cover, hoodies, windbreaker, gloves, jackets, whatever you need to get up there. When you're standing up there in the cold and there's no protection, your body gets cold very quick. So put on as much stuff as you can as soon as you can. You know who that is?
Yeah, it's marked.
That's Mark. Yeah, you haven't seen him in a while. That's the winter clothing up there with the Goonie suit, as they call it, or as Eric calls it. So these are all different seasons, so just, you need to bring whatever you need up there, because it's a long way. So for food, just something light, fruits, whatever, snacks, plenty of water. We found out after a few years that if you don't eat before hiking up, that hiking is a lot easier, far easier, because you're trying to digest the food that climbed uphill. It's very difficult. So it's just something we do now. Most of us take a sandwich with us and we eat up there. Miscellaneous, whatever you're going to need up there to prepare your airplane, minor repairs. Nylon bolts are a good idea if your airplane uses that. You can also use tape for holding your wings on, or covering holes in your coverings or all that. You guys know what an ESV is? An ESV is an expanded scale voltmeter. That's a voltmeter that puts a load on your battery before you fly. Check if you have any bad cells. So for $20, that's the best insurance you can get for yourself. I tell everybody, get one of these. So it's not a regular voltmeter, it's a voltmeter that puts a flight load on your battery pack before you fly. They're very small, and they put like 400 to 500 milliamp load on it. Some of us have forgotten our wind joiners, and yes, some of us have forgotten our transmitters when we get out there. So I especially tell people, invest in a good pair of hiking boots. Yeah, we had one of our members break his ankle there about 10 years ago, as he stepped in a hole he wasn't aware of. So hiking boots are a must. You don't come up there with sneakers.
And also at certain times of year, they get the kind of grass, so you're going to talk about that gets all the burrs, and so
Yes.
you want to have pants or socks or whatever that doesn't just attract a bunch of those things.
Yeah.
And that's why shorts just don't make it.
Yeah, don't wear shorts. And if you want to wear, short sleeve or whatever, it's up to you. I never do that. But anyway, so the slope. So most people, when they think of slope flying, they think of the coastal slopes where the lift is, strong and the wind is steady. But unfortunately, we are an inland slope, so we don't have a lot of those advantages. So we are called an inland slope, and we are faced with a lot of the issues that most inland slopes face with. So where we fly from, remember Mission Peak has a lot of hills on it. Where we fly from is 830 feet above sea level. But really, it's a 300-foot hill, because that's what it rises, 300 foot above the surrounding flatter terrain in front of it. It's a northwest-facing slope, and luckily, the prevailing winds are northwest. So in that regard, we're very lucky. Some pictures of what the site looks like in the season. This is looking northerly. So all winds with the westerly components produce lift. So northwest, southwest, west, you can fly all those. You've heard of the term slur rolling. That's slope thermaling. We do a lot of that at Mission, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. This is what I've seen is the ratio of slope lift to thermal lift is about 65-35. But thermal lift is available most of the year. So this is, if you go on a coastal site, you really don't do the thermal line, because it's just too windy and too cold for the thermals to develop, and there isn't much ground in front of you to develop thermals. So this is facing slightly south at the famous tank out there. So one of the advantages an inland slope has is you can go to much higher altitudes as opposed to coastal side, because you can hitch rides on thermals and go way up there and go way behind you. So that's something that we do, and we can fly very far from a launch point. As I said, this is probably one of the few slopes, actually probably one of the only slopes I know of, that you can fly behind you, because the terrain still rises behind you, and then the lift starts, still is climbing behind you. So it's kind of cool to fly 360 on a good day. Okay, what does this mean? If you think about the angle of the sun during the day, it has the most radiation when it's about 90 degrees to the ground. So that's where you get the most thermal lift. But if you have hills that are usually normal to the sun rays, you're getting lift at different times of the day on different hills. So that's something you'll find out as you fly up there, that where it used to produce a lot of lift, now it's not much there, but now the lift is being produced on other hills around you. So that's something that's rather unique to the mission, because we're surrounded by these rolling hills. The landing area is unobstructed, large, and if you haven't flown on coastal sites where the rotor is an eddy of air that basically tends to play with your airplane as you're coming down for a landing, we don't have any of that. We have a pretty much a ground top on top of a mission, so the airflow is pretty smooth up there. So it's one of the few ones that don't have a rotor. Yeah, one of the best things about mission, I think, is the fact that you can land off-field. You can go down the hill, land anywhere. There's no power lines, there's no roads, there are no fences. So you can pretty much land your airplane down the hill, go pick it up, fly again. It's rarely ever damaged when you go pick an airplane up down there. So that's a big advantage of mission. Well, is it all good? No. So we don't get the strong slope lift that the coastal sites enjoy. Usually when you go to the coast, not only is the lift very smooth because it's flowing over water and it's unobstructed, but also the steady part relates to the fact that the winds pick up and slow down at a very steady state. It's not abrupt like we have it over here. And also the direction of the wind change is very slow over coastal sites. Over here, you can get a wind change like that. So that's part of a lot of inland slopes have that issue. Compared to the coastal slopes, we have the winds that start at say 25 miles an hour at the coast, or the coyote, by the time they get to us, they're probably 10 miles an hour, so 15 miles have been rubbed off due to all the obstructions over the ground. So we don't get that powerful winds. Again, we're warmer in the summer, colder in the winter, as opposed to the coastal sites. Microclimates, that you can get weather forecast for the general area, but you never know how it's going to be up there because of all the different microclimates around you. You guys are familiar with inversion layers and what they are. So after a few days of windless days, you start seeing a haze building up at the horizon. Well, I'm not going to go into the technical side of it with all the adiabatic lapse rate and all that, but sometimes you can clearly see like the hang gliding area, the launch area is above the inversion layer and we're below it. So that caps the amount of lift that you have, and the air below the inversion layer is very stable and it doesn't really move that much. So sometimes we are under it. And usually the coastal sites don't have the inversion layer because the wind is pretty much blowing at the coast. Okay, easterly winds. So when the winds shift from the west to the east, you cannot fly there because the winds are blowing downhill. So even if you think, oh, I got a DLG, it's okay, I don't need winds in my face, believe me, when you go out there, you will see the airplane just going downhill and downhill. So I tell people, if it's an east wind, don't fly it, it's going to be very difficult. In the summertime, when you are flying along and you've got a good thermal and you're climbing, and all of a sudden you see just a bomb drop out, it's because the marine layer starts to move in and it basically acts like a machete. It just cuts the thermal, and then the airplane just drops, and you can actually feel the temperature change. So one of the things I tell folks, I said, not only be aware of the wind, but also be aware of the temperature up there. So that causes a shear in the thermal. Yeah, something slow flyers don't really participate in this thermal flying, and this type does require you to know how to thermal fly, and how to catch thermals, and how to stay in them, and how to code them, and all that. So because in the summertime, as we'll talk about it, you require that knowledge. Must share sky with paragliders. Yes, they're constant thing. If it's good flying for us, for you guys out there, it's good flying for them. In fact, the last time we were up there was like, we counted 9 of them flying over us. So, but you know, gotta be careful. So you gotta share the hill with those guys. You gotta share the hill with the cows. Right? So, yeah, know what you're stuck in.
We're landing on.
Yeah. So, when's the best time to go? Usually, it's pretty much flyable all year. Different kind of flying techniques needs to be used, but seasonally speaking, spring through early June is probably the best time, and it's because the winds are somewhat consistent. So forecasting this kind of wind is easier. The northwest winds, like I said, we are a northwest facing slope, so it's an ideal condition. The winds are steady, they don't change that much, they are in direction or in velocity, so it's a very good time to go flying. We call this the peak season, the springtime. So late June, you know, mid to late June throughout the summer, early summer, maybe midsummer is less windy. So we fly this slur mode, and we'll talk about how we can actually use the slope lift or thermal lift. Fall is probably the worst time to go flying. However, it's still flyable, but it's mostly, you go up there and it's blowing maybe less than 5 miles an hour, next to nothing, and then you basically go out there and catch thermals. Winter is actually pretty good. You just have to pick what days you go out there. Usually we have clearing winds and post-frontal and prefrontal weather systems that go through. Those are probably some of the best days to go flying. Actually, this is what you see is the winter picture right here. So we do get some nice days out there for the winter flying. Except it just gets cold. You can probably stay out there 2 to 3 hours tops. So, so how do you know when to go up there? This is probably one of the most asked question. When should I go? So I always tell people basically use, you know, TV, radio, online forecasts, and study them. Basically what you want to look for is northwest or west winds. 10 miles or higher are probably ideal. Summertime, you don't have to have high winds because the thermals are actually adding to the lift. So the thermals can be good that time of the year, like in the summer. So. Basically, look for clear days. Deep blue skies and high visibility are great signs that the air is moving. Clouds are also indicators of the air moving up, not just moving sideways. Look for birds, look for hang gliders. These are all signs that the air is going up. Sometimes you want to look way up and you will see 2 or 3 layers of clouds up there, and you can see birds are climbing very high. You know, the air is climbing to a very high altitude. So when you see a scene like that, this is the Mission Mountain Range with those puffy cumulus clouds all rolling out there. That's an indicator of a very good day. It's clear, no haze. That should make your heart sing if you want to go flying. So the online weather sites that we use primarily are the Wonderground, which is Weather Underground. We probably use that now. If you go in there, there are thousands of weather stations, and the one we use are Mount Allison is the one that's the closest one. Mount Allison happens to be on the next peak over from Mission, and I believe it's called, well, yeah, it's Mount Allison, I believe the next one is called Monument Mountain. So there's 3 peaks up there. All the towers and the weather stations are posted right next to it. So,
I'm sorry, what do you think is the best one in terms of accuracy? I know a lot of the underground stations are spotted.
I will go through those.
Okay.
I'm going through those right now. So once you go on Underground, you put in Fremont and you put in Mount Allison, and then basically what you get is a chart down below that has the wind velocity located and the wind direction located there, so you can pretty much, it goes by the hour and when the wind's coming from. So this is a northwest, north to northwest wind. The other one I use is the National Weather Service. Again, what you can do is you put in the Fremont area, Fremont, California, and then slightly below that there is a map. What you do is you put your pointer on Mission Peak Regional Park area, and then it gives you the approximate weather for that area. You will see the forecast change, so you can actually point wherever you want, and it will sort of give you an approximation. So you go further down on that same page, and there is a chart. And I only cut a small portion of the chart for you that shows the weather. So the middle one you see, it's kind of hard to see. I know it shows the wind velocity and wind direction. National Weather Service uses the correct meteorological signs for wind. Those are called wind barbs. Those lines that you see there. And each barb is, a full barb is 10 miles an hour, and a half barb is 5 miles an hour, and it's pointing to the direction that the wind is coming from. All aviation and meteorological terminology use this type. So the other ones are for the layman, they are just show poke and arrow. So that's the other one. We have a couple of more. Wind Finder. This one actually has a Mission Ridge, that's what it's called on their website. It actually shows the site on there. Again, you go slightly down, it has something very similar with the arrow pointing and the wind velocity by the hour. So when you see it says the numbers with the white background is the average wind, and under the blue background is the gust. Windy TV or Windy TI is like the latest, greatest thing. People are really enjoying it. It has really cool graphics. It shows the wind streams coming in from for the West Coast. You can put your pointer right onto the Fremont or the Mission Peak area, and something will pop out and will say what it is blowing now. If you look further below the map, that horizontal red line below the picture, that's by the hour. You can actually slide that around, and it will give you an approximation what the wind will be at a certain time. So this one, so each wind stream is indicative of the strength of the wind. So the longer the wind, the streams are, the higher the wind velocity. So you have all these sites under control. However, the forecast is not a prediction. I want you to let that sink in. Long-term forecasts are really not good, especially for the microclimates that we use. I found that anything before 72 hours is of no use. Really, the weather models really start to firm up about 72 hours beforehand, whatever event you want. These sites that I showed you, keep looking at them 2 or 3 days before you want to go flying, and you will see a trend happening, and you will see if the wind is starting to go from like northeast all of a sudden to northwest, to northwest. You will see that. And just because it says so, you go up there, and it's not. It's going to be very different. We've had that happen to us hundreds of times. Again, it's not a prediction. So we've had great weather forecasts. We go up there, and it's blowing something completely different. Happens quite often.
Sometimes that's a reason to have it. Well, you can tell which plane to bring. Okay.
So Mark 1 eyeball is your best tool. Like I said, look out the window. Probably most of us can probably from somewhere see mission because it's so big in the South Bay. From somewhere, I can see from my work, from my house. So it's, look for clear days for this upcoming season, which is spring. Look for blue skies. Look for puffy clouds. Those are very good indicators of how it's going to be up there. Take that along with the forecasts and that should give you a good guesstimate of how the weather is going to be up there. Nobody can tell you exactly how it's going to be up there, guys. So it's just part of the game for any slope you go to. Inland slopes are harder to forecast than coastal sites because as soon as the wind hits the ground and starts flowing over the ground, everything changes. Coastal sites are much easier to forecast. Okay, so now you go up there, I don't have a slope line. What should I do? Well, slope gliders, basically, what are they? So, they're basically single-purpose airplanes designed for higher winds and higher conditions. So, they're not designed to be put on a winch, they cannot be ice-started, they cannot be aero-towed, they're just designed for slope flying. They usually have moderate wing loading, they have lower aspect ratio wings, faster airfoils, they're designed for aerobatics, they're usually more damage tolerant. However, they operate in a very harsh environment. For every flight that you do on a thermal flight, you may go up 6 or 7 times and come down and try to land on very rough ground, so they don't have very long lives. So because what does slope stand for? So smash, loss, or pulverize eventually. So what do you need to take up there? You don't need a dedicated slope plane. If you already have a DLG, your general radial 650s, your Radians and Easy Gliders and such, any kind of a TD ship, you're taking from the OE2s and various res ships. You got your F3Js, whatever, scale planes. You have a plane for mission. So all of these can fly. Obviously, you need the right kind of environment to fly these things, but we fly them all the time out there.
I like to buy a DLG with my RES because with no lift, you can just do DLG, but it's still probably fine thermal even then.
Yeah.
So it's a good backup. You misjudge the weather.
So all of these airplanes, all these types of airplanes you see there have flown at mission. Okay, so what do we recommend? We choose that, if you have to choose one, choose something that can be used for thermal flying and slope flying. So don't just use a sloper as your only airplane. A light to moderate wing loading is ideal. In the summer, we have to throw the airplane pretty hard, so you want to have a large, heavy airplane because you need that extra few feet of the launch helps. A high aspect ratio wing usually has a high lift to drag coefficient, so you can range out from your launch point, which is very important because you want to go out, check out the lift, and come back. If you have a small airplane, that's kind of hard to do. So 2 to 2.5 meters are ideal. An aileron plane would be best. Something that would keep up with all the general ladies and your oldies, but you still want to have a top speed, higher top speed than that. Thermal capability is very important as you fly thermals out there. One of the main disadvantages of the woody floors is when you get into a good thermal, it's very difficult to get out of it. We have broken, stressed a lot of airplanes like that, getting out of good lift. Something like you can break down into maybe two-piece wing or three-piece wing, or maybe the tails come out so you can carry down the hill would be ideal. So an airplane that meets this, we can probably use it most of the time, at least 80%. So we recommend the Art Hobby lines of sailplanes. They are really good for mission. They're light, they're strong. They can keep up, with the floaters. They can stay up. I think we've flown as much as 40 miles an hour. They're easy to build. Three-piece wings. Sometimes they have removable details. There's Noel with his. I got a couple. There's Ken. There's Eric. So we have a whole bunch of them up there. So we just we recommend them to you, but we also fly them also up there. They're proven to be very good airplanes. It's like the 21st century General Navy. They're very efficient airplanes. So if you want to buy one airplane only, we recommend you buy one of these, the 2 meter to start with. You can also get the 2 meters with the flaps if you want to. So, because they're light, you wouldn't sustain a lot of damage. You have a hard landing. By the way, they're airline planes.
And the art hobbies are still available?
Oh yes. Yeah. Just go to arthobby.com.
Has anyone tried the Blythe ones or whatever that are by the same guy?
Blythe check? Yeah, they love hobby cells. Yeah, they're very similar in construction. Yeah. I don't think we have any out there. Everybody just flies art hobby.
He says that is art. His name is Art Blythe, like whatever, but he's just got like another line and he's selling.
They're so similar in construction, by the way, if you build one of these, every one of their airplanes builds exactly the same. So their 1.5 meter to their 3.5 meter builds exactly the same way. It's a 4-piece wing that you will see. It's got a front pod and a tail boom and a V tail. They're all exactly the same. So it takes you the same amount of time to build a large one and a small one. So. All right. Now we get to the flying part. Launching. All right. So depends on the condition of the day. Like I said, we have varied conditions on the slope. That's a Supra, by the way, so as I was telling you, there's like 3 competition airplanes. So for high wind days, we want you to walk to the edge of the slope, point your plane slightly down, and just do a light toss. Why do you want to go to the edge of the slope? Because you don't want the airplane to go push back and the nose to come up and push behind you, go by. So you want to go in front, just slightly, point the nose slightly below the horizon and just toss it. And slope the ridge, as you would. I'm not getting into flying techniques at this presentation, but that's for the high wind days. That's what we do. For mixed wind and thermal, want to perform a better launch. We use the slope lift initially, and then we go out, and then we use the thermal lift to look for thermals. And the thermals is what take you really way up there, not slope lift.
What constitutes a high wind?
I would say high teens and up. Light wind to dead calm. By the way, we do fly quite a bit in dead calm conditions. And one of the things I want you guys to remember is that wind velocity is not the same thing as lift. You can have dead calm days and plenty of lift. So this is where I will talk a little bit about flying because it's kind of unique to what we do. Our mission is pay attention where the wind is coming from. You can hold your airplane above your head and just sort of swing it side to side. The airplane will kind of weather away and will show you where the wind is coming from. You can also move your head around and you will feel the ear, you will hear it in your ears by equalizing the wind, the sound of the wind in both ears. Launch hard and try to gain as much altitude. As you're going out there, look for how your airplane is reacting to any disturbances in the air. And if you see something, turn hard and size up the lift, because you could have a large area of lift but is light, or you could have a very tight area that's very strong, or vice versa. So you gotta size it up, see how strong it is. If it's going up, core it. If it's sinking, bail quickly and try again. So this comes with some experience because it does require you to fly these conditions a while. It took me a while to learn to do this. In these conditions, you do have to fly hard. You need to extract all the performance out of your airplane. It's amazing that people don't really use the performance of their airplanes. You need to put stand that airplane up on its wingtips and just quarter thermal really hard. Don't give up. Be aggressive. Go after one turbo. If it's not, just go after another one. It's there.
You didn't touch on though, like the further out you get, you probably should be higher up. Right?
Yes.
Because you have this tendency to go, just thinking you're going to ride that third one, you just get lower and lower.
One thing
And then you have to walk up
one thing I didn't want to do with this presentation is talk about slope flying in general, because that's a whole other an hour of, I just wanted to talk about how mission is. But you're right. You want to step climb your away from the launch site. So the farther you are, the higher you want to be. In case the lift drops, you want to come back in there.
Is that the main peak factor?
That's the main peak, yes. Okay, landing. Like I said, compared to other sites, it's pretty easy. It's because it's relatively unobstructed. It's round. There are no rotors. It's pretty smooth up there. You don't need a fancy airplane. You don't need flaps. You don't need spoilers. We used to fly General Avies there for 20 years. So it's not a big deal. You can always land up there. Obviously, the higher the winds get, the harder it is to land because you're actually landing into the lift zone. So, we teach people to use the full-size practice of flying a full-size airplane with the whole downwind base and final approach, because that makes it a lot more, you get into a stabilized approach for your landing. And depending on the wind, and depending on the direction of the wind, and the strength of the wind, you adjust each leg as necessary for that day. As I said, you can, you're landing into the lift zone, so because we don't have a very flat area on top, every time we try to land and it's blowing, say, 50 miles an hour, you're landing into a 50-mile-an-hour zone. So you can land crosswinds. That crosswind doesn't mean necessarily 90 degrees to the wind, but it could be 15, 20 degrees, 45 degrees to the wind. So we highly discourage downwind landings. They usually end up badly, but they're definitely doable if you have enough energy left in your airplane. Fly the approach at high altitudes, fly it a few times, go around, come lower, 10, 20 feet, fly it again, and then you will feel how the air down below is like. So with each pass, you will get a better feel of how it is. Fly your approach well, because that's an old adage in full-size flying, a good approach makes a good landing. Don't force the airplane down. If it's coming in hot, don't point the nose down. Go around. Let the airplane settle by itself. Usually when you're landing hard, especially if, say, you're carrying ballast maybe, all that mass has to go somewhere, so you don't want to slam it into the ground. The airplane will settle. Big hint, land on the lift is good. Don't wait to be out there and you're scratching for a lift and you want to climb all the way back on top again, so. Who flies up there? Bunch of goofy looking characters like us.
Who's that goofy looking guy?
Look at that guy. That's Brian Chan, by the way, if you guys don't know him, he's sitting up there.
Looks like a Buddha.
And of course, Pacero's got the coolest looking vintage ships always. Built immaculately.
That's a Hal DeBolt
Yeah,
Soarer.
Soarer. Right.
Uh,
Pseudo free flight.
That guy on the right, that's Carl, that's Eric's brother. He's one of the funniest guys up there.
He might make a cameo appearance tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got clothes on too, that's unusual.
Yeah. He was died from laughing when that guy's up there. He's so funny.
So,
There's a rough looking bunch of characters there. This is like 2 weeks ago. The guy on the far right, that's Joe Thomas. He used to be a long time member of this club. He took over from Brian Chan and took over as a newsletter editor. So he is coming back to flying after 8 or 10 years of absence.
What is that? What's he flying there? That's a, that looks familiar.
it's a Starling.
Starling, right?
That's a Starling, yes.
Right.
It's probably one of the last Starlings left.
Flyable Starling. Mike, what was his name? Mike Richter? No.
Mike
Mike McEwen.
McEwen.
Mike McEwen. Yeah.
Yes. That airplane was built by a guy up in Napa. He used to
Yeah.
manufacture these. It was one of the first composite airplanes. Kevlar fuselage, spider foam core, glassed over. Beautiful, beautiful airplane.
Carbon too.
Carbon version of it. I think Eric had one, right? Yours was
Yep.
carbon?
Yeah.
I had a glass one just like
I
that.
had a glass one.
They were great.
By the way, I think Noel really likes the place. Usually he goes out there and then, he launches and his airplane is flying way up and way up there. And he's got a big old smile on his face now and he's really enjoying it. That's Kevin Anderson. I think he's getting married in the next couple of months on the far left.
Patterson.
Patterson, I'm sorry. That's an Artavi airplane up front. That's Eric's. Okay, I just brought this because yes, Randy does fly.
That's photoshopped.
That's a
Photoshop.
He comes to mission about once a year, and that's your buddy there, right?
Yeah.
Mike,
Malik.
Mike, yeah.
Wow, let's see.
Yeah. Those are the candy folks. It's a beautiful slope, man. You can relax, kick back.
There we go, there's the crowd.
Yeah, there's some crowd. So there's a lot of activity up there, guys. I think this is our last slide. I just want you to a few notes about taking care of this place. Take your membership card with you. They rarely ever ask you to show it. That never happens almost, so but have it on you just in case. Be nice to the park rangers and the park police. They're really good, friendly to us. This guy here, he's the park police. He's on a mountain bike, and we see him all the time. He knows us all by sight. I've had many talks with this guy. Very friendly with us. Hang gliders. They're not supposed to fly over us, but they do anyway, especially when they're running out of lift. But give them plenty of space. Don't mess with them. Just go to another part of the sky. Remember, the FAA rules say that manned aircraft have priority. So no matter what you do, you cannot say, well, they're already my part of the sky. Just give them plenty of room. Quite often we run into them on the parking lot, so we talk to them and they say, how was your day? And also, so they're kind of friendly. The reason the special use agreement came to being because there was a conflict between some people flying gliders and they had a conflict with the hang gliders. This is about 18, 20 years ago.
On the big hill.
So I'm sorry?
On the big hill.
No, on our hill.
Oh, okay.
And there was some kind of a conflict happened. was not, had nothing to do with SBSS, there were people flying there. They took all flying privileges away from model flyers. So a guy by the name of Darren, what's Darren's last name?
Brown.
Darren Brown from SBSS went and made this the first special use agreement with the club, and they said, well, I'm going to get a club in here, and they have safety rules and AMA insurance, blah, blah, blah. So then they gave us, I think the first year they gave us a 1-year agreement, and then it got extended to a 3-year agreement, and that's 5-year agreement. And it was because we had a conflict with these guys, so be nice to them, they're more money than us. Yeah, check the landing area.
It's my buddy.
That's Eric's buddy. What is it? 221?
221.
Yeah. Don't hit them on your landings. This guy especially loves the slope as much as we do. The view is great and the grass is better out there. So.
Prime rib.
Actually, you know, that one's not 221. That one has horns.
Was it? No, I think
Is
it's the ears. Anyway, that's a castrated wolf.
No, I don't think so.
That's Eric.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell the ones that are castrated, they're singing a cappella.
Oh, is that how you tell?
That's how
By
you
the
tell.
way,
Oh, I didn't know that.
pick up your stuff before you leave. Rubber bands, bolts,
It's all part
tools,
of the Vienna
whatever.
sausage choir.
Yeah, leave, make sure you. The reason they keep renewing our agreement is because we leave the place just exactly as we found it. So they're good with us. They always check.
Much better.
Yeah, if you've been good, Eric might offer you some slope cookies. At the end of the day. He
Mom's
makes a
own.
fresh batch. At the end of the day, he goes and gives everybody a
The
cookie.
slope cookies are called Mom's Own.
Mom's own.
Mom's Own, right. Right there.
And 50% of the hike is downhill.
There we go.
So
That's me in the background.
that's the end of it.
No snakes?
There are snakes. We've never seen, I've seen snakes there, but I've never seen a rattlesnake. I know they're there. I've never come across a rattlesnake, but I've seen other snakes out there.
About ticks, how bad are they?
Never seen ticks.
Never seen
Been going there for 15
You know,
years.
as opposed to the coastal side, it's not moist enough for ticks to hang around and sustain themselves because it gets dry there. So I've never seen ticks there. Like if you go to Davenport, plenty of ticks out there. You know,
Peninsula
Sunset.
Channel Commanders Field,
Sunset.
tons of ticks.
yeah. The other thing with the cows is once a year or twice a year they bring bulls in for mating purposes. And these are non-castrated bulls, okay? They are big, they weigh 800 to 1,000 pounds, they're all muscle. You know, when they walk, it looks like a steam locomotive walking by because it's just, you know, don't look them in the eye. Don't challenge them. Just keep your head down and walk away.
Because Sean was out there with his glider like this.
No, I was hiking one day, wasn't flying, and I got chased by one. And chased me off the trail, and he was coming down, you know, and I was like, oh shit, you know. Let me see the physics of this guy hitting me at this speed, okay, he wins, right? So I went off the trail, and I continued hiking off the trail, and I saw a cow and a calf, and she was milking. So he was protecting that whole area from all hikers. So they are, yeah, those guys come in like twice a year, and they take them out after they've done, you know, all the other cows. So, yeah, those guys are yeah, aggressive. Don't get behind cows, by the way. Don't get close behind them, and don't get between them and the calves.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did that once.
Yeah.
I was out hunting at the time. The John Wayne thing does not work.
No.
Shooting the gun into the ground or into the air does not deter mother.
No. They're very protective.
And once they've got you sighted, even if you move out of the line between her and the calf, she only sees you. Unless the calf makes some noise, which was what saved me, she keeps coming. And she comes like a bull. I can attest to that.
Like a locomotive.
Yep, put the head down and comes.
In the,
Calf goes bah over there and her head turns and she swerves and you go, thank God.
yeah, in the evenings, although none of us are there by that time, when the sun goes down, you can hear the coyotes start to howl.
By the way, at the time I had a rifle with me,
Yeah.
and if worse came to worse, I was gonna explain to my hunting buddies how I managed to shoot a cow.
It looked like a deer from,
Yeah, so
No, I know.
Four legs?
it looked like a deer.
No, cows do not look like deer. I'm sorry.
Those little felt
They taste
taste.
better, that's for sure.
That's it.
I don't know about that.